There is a lot riding on Salaar, a project that has been talked about for quite some time. This collaboration between a Telugu superstar like Prabhas and the Kannada filmmaker who became the talk of the town across India just a few years ago has been a highly anticipated project. I say there is a lot riding on it mainly because of the two questions at the back of everyone's mind. Can Prabhas finally end his dismal run at the movies, having experienced no luck since Baahubali? And two, can Prashanth Neel prove himself outside of the KGF universe while the first glimpse of Salaar looks almost like a distant cousin from the same universe? While Prashanth Neel has denied the existence of a joint universe and it's tough to accept the same as recurring actors from his movies feature in the trailer, the intrigue has still developed within viewers on whether he will be capable of bringing box office gold to Prabhas's life, especially when you consider that Salaar is releasing on the same day as Donkey, a highly anticipated collaboration between SRK and Rajkumar Hirani. The teaser that dropped a few months ago developed interest, but it barely gave audiences anything to really chat or debate about. The only contentious topic, as I previously said, was whether the visuals and color palette of the universe seemed eerily similar to Prashanth Neel's own KGF franchise. The most interest developed within me when I saw Prithviraj's character portraying the villain in this film. Apparently, it's slightly different now with the trailer. One of my favorite performers from Malayalam cinema, the fact that he said yes to this project immediately piqued my interest because I am in love with some of the diverse choices he makes in his filmography. As the much awaited trailer of Salaar dropped today, let's pack in several of its aspects and what we loved or slightly feel doubtful about. What I am most impressed by, and this is the initial part of the trailer, they are the visuals and description of the world building by Prashanth Neel, of how the world or the kingdom came into existence. If this is played out from an origin story point of view, I would be thoroughly invested, versus another case of an interview and narration which took place in KGF. The case of a world before there was order and tribes fought for land and had imperialistic ways of looting and moving on to the next could be an interesting chapter of the universe. The similarities of Prashanth Neel's treatment cannot be denied. You can clearly make out who the director of the film is. It is not only based on the color palette and the type of terrain in which the movie is set, but it is based on the treatment of its characters, especially when we look at the younger versions of Prabhas and Prithviraj. That will establish their bond that reunites them years later. This is essentially the prototype of KGF as well, where there would be several callbacks of what the characters endured during their formative years. Why Prabhas is a force to be reckoned with, why Prithviraj is more of the pushover and non-confrontational, and the circumstances they end up in when they combat the forces who have eyes on the throne. I worry about the similarities in treatment of Prashanth Neel's storytelling and whether this can be hugely detrimental for the audience in not really experiencing a unique and totally different story. This is similar in terms of the treatment of the final goal at hand, which is the eyes on the throne, something which was being conspired by several characters in KGF as well. What I would love to see with especially the talented ensemble cast that is present in this film is if the psychological mind games become the core focus of the screenplay versus just a series of action set pieces. This will give a new touch to the otherwise standard template of commercial films where the mental fortitude of characters are tested versus just physical strength. I think I will be asking for too much because the series of explosions and action set pieces really do seem to promise that it will be more of an action film rather than a conspiring tale for the throne with distinct characters. The throne of Khansar is under threat and their heir to the throne, Vardaraja Manar, played by Prithviraj, is vulnerable as his father leaves for a brief period of time, only for the members of the council to use their might and stage a coup. This is where the integration of Prabhas and Prithviraj joining hands against the interestingly several foreign militia aiding the coup would take place. I wonder how geographically the involvement of the Russians and Serbians would make sense in the film. I can only assume that there has to be a rich natural resource abundantly available because of which the armies have their eyes on the prize. I am even more interested to see what Shruti Hassan is doing in this film, as she plays a spectator in the trailer, as other than the mother character in the KGF franchise, mostly the women had played ornaments. It's also hilarious that her only shot in the trailer is also her character poster for the film. The biggest sticking point for most people who have seen the trailer, especially the Telugu one, is the lackluster dialogue delivery by Prabhas. While the actor looks the part, there is a sense of lethargy for dialogues that are essentially threats or what is called elevation moments in commercial cinema. Other than when he says, "No one should touch you," I don't know why there is such a laziness creeping in with the dialogues of Prabhas. And if you see Prithviraj in contrast, there is way more effort that you can visibly see being projected by the actor. You hear the Hindi dialogues dubbed by Sharat Kelkar, and they are far more energetic than the Telugu dub. What will be a banger in my opinion is if Prithviraj does join the dark side after using the aid of Prabhas. This would in turn set up for part 2, where I would assume Prabhas will have even more of a full-fledged role. Another parallel with KGF and Prashanth Neel's fascination for broken English dialogues also continues in the concluding moments of the trailer. But please, I kindly request, barely holds any competition with violence, which became quite the rage on TikTok and Reels. Even though I found that dialogue also cringe. I wonder whether the combination of Prabhas and Prashanth Neel can pull it off, because it has been slim pickings for the pan-Indian star for a lot of time. More importantly, whether Prashanth Neel can guarantee a unique experience beyond KGF, because there are several themes and visuals from the trailer that seem to organically create parallels for the audience to the KGF franchise. One hopes for an engaging ride beyond the fluff of action set pieces, because honestly, Prabhas needs it more than anyone else, and this seems to be the right time. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about the Salaar trailer. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.